And so we have, yeah, social issues here. We have come across few issues in the topics like in the syllabus content. We have come across like, first of all, what is issue? So we have, I just go through the syllabus content here. Social issue is the first topic. We try to cover poverty, unemployment situation, women, violence against women, and then I think child labor, and also different other issues we have come across. Other than this, untouchability. Then other than this, in the second unit, we try to discuss about what is called social development and the related theories we have discussed. Okay. Then the third unit, we try to discuss about social policy, human development, indicators of human development. And the last unit, I think it is the constitutional framework, constitutional safeguard measures undertaken by the government of India and the state governments here. But otherwise, we also discussed in the yesterday's class. Yesterday, I just took a very short class here. We have discussed social exclusion and inclusion. So now today, I just would like to briefly review all the topics once again. So here, when we discuss the social issues, what do we understand by the issues? So almost all the societies have different many problems. So it's not that a society is not with the problems, but some of the other problems are identified in the societies. So these problems are the issues which are very much seen in all the societies. Usually make the society, it is these problems become one of the obstacles or the hindrances of the development. So any society, in order to bring development of the society, needs to overcome all these issues, it has to come out of all these, the related issues or the problems. But though we try to talk about certain policy measures in order to eradicate all these problems, in order to totally overcome all these issues also, but still most of the most of the issues are still being continued in the societies. So as far as Indian system is concerned, Indian society is concerned, even Indian society has, it's not the new modern times we are talking about the issues, but we have long back, since the long back history also, we can trace certain issues in the Indian society. So most of the issues we try to discuss here is poverty. Related to the poverty, we also have the unemployment situation, or unemployment is presupposed to bring, it is the resultant of the unemployment situation where we are talking about the poverty system. But the major important issue as far as Indian system is concerned, we have untouchability and the casteism, caste conflict systems in the Indian society. All these are the few crises we have in the Indian society related to Indian, deep-rootedly, very much deep-rooted in the historical aspect, the untouchability, caste-related issues here. But otherwise, to just briefly go with what are the issues in general we have, in almost all the countries we try to cover with these issues here. Let us talk the poverty. Poverty is usually a situation when people are unable to satisfy the basic needs of life. When do we actually relate ourselves to the poverty? So when we feel that when the person is unable to have at least the basic minimum requirements of the life. Say, for example, the basic minimum requirements are the food, clothing, and shelter. Usually, these are the three indicators we try to relate to the basic requirements. If a person is unable to afford to all these basic requirements, then that is considered as a situation of poverty. Okay. The definition usually gives some kind of measurements of the poverty here. Usually, it is something, it is also defined as the pronounced deprivation in well-being and being poor, to be hungry. When a person is starving, that even that situation is also related to poverty. So he is unable to afford to the basic requirement, the food, at least the basic requirement, one of the basic requirement is the food. When the person is starving, the situation is defined as related to poverty situation. Why there is poverty? Why there is poverty? Almost most of the countries face poverty. Why there is poverty? Actually, the poverty is again interrelated to different many factors. Most of the societies undergo poverty, few communities undergo poverty, where they are facing the poverty situation because of unemployment situation. The society is undeveloped. Undeveloped with technology, there is no development in the system, there is no social change in the society, and at the same time, usually mass illiteracy is also leading to poverty, and we have what is called different many factors, the traditional motive, the traditional attitude of the people in the societies. Going back to the most what is called the most traditional aspect of economic activities in the system, which is leading to poverty. So few factors relating to poverty, which is resulting to poverty is illiteracy, unemployment situation, traditional aspect of the economic activities. So usually depending upon the traditional mode of agriculture system, not utilizing or not bringing the technology into different fields here, there is no industrialization process. These are the few factors identified with the poverty situation. Or the most important other one is high rate of population growth. So for example, if you take Indian situation, we are a very rapid growth of population we are experiencing in the Indian situation. So almost the government is unable to meet or provide at least a minimum basic requirement to the growing population, because the resources we cannot double. We have to utilize it in a very intelligent manner. So utilization of the resources may not be taken way in a proper way. Why? Because there is mass illiteracy. So manpower is very shortage for the Indian manpower we have, but the skill with regard to the manpower, utilization of the resources with the skill is may not be appropriate. So all this usually in general, we try to relate it to poverty situation. So usually we have certain policy issues with regard to government has planned with since first 5-year plan. When you talk about the Indian system, Indian administration in the Indian society, since first 5-year plan itself, we started planning for the development, and we started planning for removal of the poverty situation by providing employment situation or starting up of the industrialization process. We established many different industries where people started migrating from the agriculture. The pressure on the land could be reduced to a very great extent, so that they came out of the agriculture and the rural areas and they joined the industries. To some extent, we can say that people started educating themselves. So now there is an awareness, consciousness among the people, and they are able to search for their own employment sources. So this we can say that to certain extent we could really curb the poverty situation, but then still the below poverty level, I think India has not much ratio of population with below poverty situation. So policies have covered up with the poverty situation. They could really eradicate to certain extent the poverty. Establishment of the industries in the urban areas where population started migrating from the rural areas and agriculture sector to the other secondary and the tertiary sectors. They could earn a very good income level from these secondary and the tertiary sectors, and people got awareness with regard to education. They started training, they started taking up education, they are able to send the children to the education institution, and some kind of employment opportunities were opened up with the industrialization process and the urbanization process. So this is where we can say that to certain extent, to a very great extent, we could curb the poverty situation. Other than poverty, what are the issues we have? Violence against women is also one of the issues we come across. Usually violence against women, but before the violence against women, I try to go with the unemployment situation here, where we try to talk about unemployment in Indian situation. As just now I said, one of the major important factor for the unemployment situation, the causative factor, is rising population growth in the Indian society. A very speedy growth is taking place in the Indian society as far as the population situation is concerned. So we rank second status in second rank in the world countries as far as population growth is concerned. Before that is the China, but then China is highly developed country, right? So why we are not able to reach on par with the Chinese status of ranking with the developed countries here? So the reason is we have many indigenous causative factors for such kind of undeveloped situation here. Fine. So what is unemployment in India? What is unemployment situation? How do we define unemployment situation? Here we try to take it as unemployment where worklessness of man who is very fit and willing to work, but usually a state of worklessness of man who is fit and he is willing to work. I repeat once again, we can define unemployment situation as a man who is fit enough and he is interested in work, but for the man there is no work. So worklessness situation for the man, we define it as unemployment. So when I am a skilled person, or I am very fit, physically I'm fit, but I am very much interested to work, but I am not being provided with work. This situation, it is being defined as unemployment situation. Usually, the incidence of unemployment is very high in urban areas than in rural areas. Because in rural areas, we usually take it as the primary sector, and in the rural areas, most of the people are engaged in agriculture, and they do some, either if they don't have the land also, they work as an agricultural labor in others land here. So some or the other kind of cattle rearing is there, so some kind of subsidiary income, because, and at the same time the life is very simple in rural areas. So the whatever income they could raise either from agriculture or the agriculture labor activity or the cattle rearing and some other subsidiary or domestic production system, so through that income, they are able to sustain in the rural areas, but that cannot fit into the urban areas. So that's the reason why the life standards in urban areas is high, and the income they have to gain in urban areas should be very high. So this is not present in the urban areas, and we are relating unemployment situation which is high ratio in urban areas. So most of the people I just now said that people are migrating to urban areas. So when they migrate, they may not able to search for a job. So they may not able to, they are not able to access to what, at least some kind of income source in the urban areas. So they have to pay for the rent and also look into the matters of the basic requirements, which is not met by these persons who are most of them are the migrant population. So unemployment situation is high number in urban areas, and unemployment rates for women are higher than those for men. So men can work as a labor also. They can enter into some or the other skilled manual work also. They can enter into some secondary sector, tertiary sector, also agricultural sector. But women cannot earn, or women cannot search for all these jobs are not open for women. There are only few sectors, few employment sectors only open for women candidates. So unemployment situation is higher in women rather than in men. So most of the unemployment situation you find in the women category. Fine. The incidence of unemployment among the educated is much higher than overall unemployment situation. When you generally take unemployment situation, we find when you scale the unemployment situation, you find higher number of highly educated men are into unemployment situation. The reasons are many, like it varies from region to region, it varies from man to man, it varies from person to person also. The reason is, if I'm a highly educated person, if I'm offered a job which is paying, my expectation is, say for example, it is 50,000. I expect according to my educational level 50,000 rupee per month. But if I'm offered a job, but the job is paying me only 10,000, so I may not accept the job. So I remain unemployed. So even this kind of ratio of unemployed among the educated is very high in the Indian situation overall compared to overall unemployment situation. Now, we have come across few types of unemployment situation, like there is cyclic unemployment, sudden unemployment situation. The COVID situation, you can take it as sudden unemployment situation. For example, the whole year, I think in the COVID lockdown period, most of the sectors have thrown out their the employees. So most of them, again, they went back to their rural areas. That is a sudden unemployment situation. Even inflation situation also we can take. Long back when we faced the inflation situation, most of the software companies have thrown out their employees. So most of the software companies either have to join for a very meager income level, or they have to quit themselves from the employment situation. So that we can take it as an sudden unemployment situation. So we cannot expect when that employment situation occurs, when the crisis of employment situation, sudden unemployment situation will arise. So we cannot expect that kind of situation. Cyclic employment, we are used to. Most of the agricultural sector is cyclic employment. 6 months usually we have a saying. 6 months they have employment situation. They are paid for the labor activity in the agriculture, and the other 6 months they remain idle. So other 6 months, most of the agricultural labor and the farmers, they usually migrate to the urban areas to in search of some or the other job. Right. Then again they go back to their own rural areas. Then unemployment situation caused because of failures in the industries. Most of the industries, because the productivity rate may come down, it is the productivity when rate is closed or reduced to a very great extent, and most of the industries, when they are unable to take the high technology, utilize the good machinery or the high technology into the industries, these industries have to shut down because of no productivity rate. Right, but they are with hundreds of employees here. So all these 100 is, so for example, I can tell you, in Telangana region, we have the Nizam's sugar factory. So that they have totally closed down the sugar factory. We have the Praga tools, even those Praga tools, long back we had the Praga tools in Hyderabad. So that was totally shut down. HMT watch company is totally shut down. So these few companies or the few industries have shut down because of there is no, I think market is not there either, or sometimes there are few factors for the closing down of the industries also. So when the industries are closing down, when they are not able to meet the demands in the market, or either reduce them, either go according to the challenges in the market, definitely they have to close down with the industries. So even such kind of incidences throw when hundred of numbers of employees onto the road, isn't it? So even that situation brings unemployment situation. So these employees and employees who have totally immediately transferred as an unemployee now, they cannot get a better opportunities, or they cannot even get a minimum income level in the other resources here. So this is one of the reasons we try to take up as unemployment situation. Then we have the seasonal unemployment. I've just gone through the seasonal unemployment. Then again, we come across cyclic unemployment, seasonal unemployment. Most of the sectors provide only seasonal employment situation. Fine. So for example, now we have again agriculture, you can take, some industries have only the seasonal employment situation. So accordingly, they try to close up the industries, or sometimes it is totally shutting down the industries, and again, they may open up after 2 or 3 months. So those 2-3 months, the employees remain idle. Then again, what are the causes of the unemployment situation? So usually rapid growth in the population. So as the number is increasing, so also we cannot improvise with we cannot increase with the industries, we cannot improve with the opportunities and the employment situation. So that's not possible with any government or any societies. So the number is growing, but at the same time, the rate of growth of industries, rate of growth of job facilities is not possible with any societies. So this is one of the factors, causative factor of the unemployment situation. Then we have the limited land. As I said in one of my class, like we cannot double the land. Whatever existing land we have to utilize the land in a very intelligent manner. So which is not possible with almost in all the criteria. We cannot make use of the land in a proper way, because sometimes some land is fit for agriculture, the other land is open for some kind of establishment, the other land we may not. We have the dry lands, we have the mountainous ranges and mountainous lands. So in such desert lands are there. In certain land areas, we cannot utilize those lands for any kind of establishment. So that is one of the major important causative factors of the unemployment situation also. So in the desert areas, usually most of the time you find that people remain unemployed also, because of there is no openings in those areas. So such kind of examples we can take for what is called the reason for unemployment situation. Seasonal agriculture. As I said, most of the, I think India, 60% of the population depend on agriculture. So these 60% population, usually totally their prime occupation, prime source of income is from agriculture. So this makes up only a seasonal employment. It provides only a seasonal employment. So other days they are totally idle, and that situation we usually term it as unemployment situation for that particular 6 or 8 months. Okay. So now, because of the policies and because of the scientific revolution, the green revolution, and many different factors are working out. And now in agriculture also, we are able to see that there is multiple cropping system plan in the agriculture practices. So techniques are used in agriculture in order to see that there is not only one crop in a year or 2 crops in a year, but we are going for the 3 crops in a year. So this is making farmer very busy even in agriculture situation. But at the same time, fragmentation of the land, all these have made unemployment situation in the Indian situation. Then we have backward method of agriculture. So now I can say that backward method of agriculture long back we had, but otherwise now most of the farmers are also aware and they're conscious to use technology and science into agriculture. They are able to utilize the fertilizers into the agriculture, and they are able to bring high produce in the agriculture. Now this is possible. Fine. Defective education system. So usually this is the day of usually say of the everyday time we are most of the time we are making use say that whatever we are going for education, we are taking MCom, MSc or MPhil and whatever education level we are going, but that is not demanded in the society or in the market. So what we are studying, we are unable to relate it to the employment situation here. So even that kind of, see, our educational level is something we are educating in some kind of field, and that is not that educational what is called the courses or whatever we are entering into or we are taking at the end of the year, that course is not offering us with any kind of employment situation in the society. So that's the reason why most of the universities are linking up the education courses, and they are opening up the courses which is in demand in the market. So that is also one. Defective education system is also one of the, so I'm just relating this defective education to the courses, but otherwise we have other aspects of defective education also. Then we have lack of transport and communication. So even we cannot link up a few regions with the transportation and communication. So most of those regions remain backward, and the people who are there in those regions also remain unemployed. So they cannot come out from their regions, and they cannot search for any employment in other areas also. Fine. Then we come across what are the effects of unemployment situation. Resultant, how can we identify that this situation is because of unemployment situation? So I try to go to other topics immediately. So few effects I try to take up. Low economic growth, and unemployment can lead to emotional and mental stress. Yes, of course, if a person is not having the minimum facilities, the person enters into the mental stress. So because the person cannot afford to any kind of purchasing here. So this definitely leads to at least a minimum requirements is not met by the person definitely enters into the stress levels. Then again, we come across child labor as also the issues. So there are many issues where the government is addressing with all these issues. And I can tell you, like, because of the policy making and because of social development aspect we are undertaking from the plan period itself, we are able to at least address these few of the issues in the Indian society, and we are able to successfully eradicate certain kind of issues in the Indian society. So for example, if you take untouchability, the caste conflicts, of course still we have the continuity of that, but the traditional stigma, but then still to greater extent we could able to eradicate almost all these issues in the traditional issues in the Indian society. But even modern issues are still there. Unemployment situation is still there in Indian society. Then other remaining problems are also we are able to identify in few areas. Then the next unit we come across social policies, social development. What do we understand by social development? When you say development, it is something indicating the changes in the structure of the society, and social development is something we are linking up it to societal development. Okay, social development, why there should be any development or social development? Why? Because you cannot remain in the stagnant position, you cannot remain with the backwardness, we don't want the a very slow process of development. We want to bring a rapid changes. We want to bring some kind of new developmental aspect on par with the other developed countries. So for this reason, as far as Indian system is concerned, from the first 5-year plan itself, we have planned with the social development and economic development. So from that particular plan period, we are planning for many programs which is able to bring development of the structure of the society. Why? Because why there should be any structural change? Why? Because with the traditional motive and with the traditional aspect of the system, we cannot really bring any improvisation in the societal system. So for that reason, we adopted this, we started adopted this social development aspect and the concept, and we are utilizing it we are applying that particular concept of development in the Indian context. So from then onwards, we started we started identifying some kind of structural changes and also the contextual changes also. At the same time, the pattern has been totally changed now. So we are, yes, of course, proudly we can say that we are on par with, we are very near to the development. We are developing still. So we didn't yet reach the development goal of the Indian plan, isn't it? Then again, when you talk about social policy, like yesterday also, I just in few contexts I discussed about social policy. Social policy is something where the plannings of the government in order to bring development of the society. So why there should be any policy? So as I said, like in order to bring equality, justice, social justice, and see that all the vulnerable sections, so few vulnerable sections I can quote: the scheduled caste community, scheduled tribal community, the women and the children who are underprivileged, and also the old age people, backward communities. All these come under the vulnerable sections, and they are also called as the marginalized sections. So these people are unable to access to, they don't have access to education, they don't have access to good food, they don't have access to good, better facilities in the society. All the opportunities are not utilized by, or not access to all these vulnerable sections. So for them, these vulnerable sections to outcome, they have to come out of the marginalized status. So in order to make them bring on to the streamline of the society, we are planning with the policies in the society. So government is the responsible mechanism to take up all the policy issues in the society. So since first 5-year plan till the present plan, we are always planning with the different many projects, and we are bringing different many new developmental projects. So for example, if you just very recently, when you talk about the Telangana policies here, so immediately after formation of the Telangana state, the new government has taken up different mini policies. So the first thing they did was the survey of the whole Telangana area in order to check like how many people are with the marginalized section, how many are the vulnerable sections we have, and what are the conditions, socioeconomic conditions, the background of almost the whole state of Telangana. So after conducting the survey here, they started with the policies, the programs to benefit the vulnerable sections. So from then onwards, we can just count on fingertips, like we have many different programs, the Raitu Bandhu Padakam we have, fine, and the insurance for the farmers, the land distribution for the Dalit community and the ST community. And at the same time, we have what is called the identity card for the farmers. And at the same time, we have the Kalyani Lakshmi. So like we have different, the kit for the pregnant ladies who approach the government hospitals. All these are some form we are able to benefit through all these policies and the projects and the developmental programs, these vulnerable sections usually. So such kind of policies are usually we come across almost all over India. So that's only to check with that at least a few vulnerable sections, and they get benefit and they develop themselves. So this is with regard to the policies, and we have certain theoretical perspectives. We relate the theoretical perspective, try to understand the societal setup and the development issues and the issues which are taking place in the Indian system from the theoretical perspective. So the very famous, we have taken one, the Karl Marx understanding of the society. So we have seen how only few sections always develop and how others are ignored by the society. So the reasons for that particular ignorance of the other community going backward and moving into more poverty, and the other sections are benefiting out of the societal resources and exploitation of the other communities, the other mass section of the society, is because only they have enough what is called the wealth for them, and that wealth itself is protecting that particular community, the few sections of the community. Usually Karl Marx identity of identifying them as the bourgeois section, or the very rich people, the elite sections in the society usually. And this bisection, the bifurcation is not only the modern context, but we can relate these theories to long back history of the Indians, history of the societies also. So when you go back to the history of the society also, we can trace different sections, the two sections you find everywhere, ancient, feudal, and also the industrial section we come across. You find the same masters, slaves, masters, and the feudal lords and the serf conditions. And coming to the modern section, the modern capitalistic system or the industrial section, we come across industrial stage, we try to take it, the same landlords transforming to capitalist or the industrial people, industrial owners, and the same serf condition have turned into what is called the industrial workers, the wage workers. So what is the condition? There is no betterment of the mass section of the community who is working as the workers in the industries. So they remain the same, they are remaining in the same situation. But unless and until there arrives the class consciousness among these labor community or the workers community, there cannot be any class conflict. So Marx usually, it is a myth. Even Marx says that it's only a myth. So we are just dreaming for, we are expecting for that there will be, or there would be some kind of the awareness or the consciousness which comes around, which may arise among the mass section, the worker community, where they try to aware, they try to get the situation consciousness, like what kind of situation we are in, like what condition we are in, what life we are leading. So this situation make them to arise into, enter into class conflict. So when they are entering into the class conflict result with what is called the class struggle. So class struggle result with classless society. So this is only an expectation, and Marx says that there will be in some situation where we can, because of this controversy, because of this agitation and the movement which takes place in the society, the class struggle movement which takes place in the society brings a classless society, that is an egalitarian society, which makes stand almost all the masses in the society. All people stand on equal par. All people will be justifiable, distributed with all the resources in the society. So usually we try to relate all this. We have the liberal theories, fine. And also we have the feminist theory, ideology of a feminist, and making vulnerable, so women are vulnerable section, marginalized section. So women always is considered as a second-grade citizen in the societies. So like how women can also contribute. Now we can say in the modern society, women is the major source of income, contributed to the economic condition of the family. So women run the family. So women also is being empowered, the present day situation. So likewise, we try to relate our theories and the perspective. We try to understand from the perspective aspect, the societal system and the sufferings in the society, also the issues which are running in the society. Other than this, we come across, I think, social development and what is called human development. So human development is a very new context. We are taking human development here. A modern context, we are talking about human development. So how do we relate human development actually? So when there is a development in the human, a man development is human development. So this context, you are taking a man and we are relating it to the societal and the man. So society has to provide with all the better opportunities. Society has to provide with, it has to avail all, it has to keep open all the opportunities to each and every one, despite or irrespective of any caste, creed, and any kind of categorization. But still, you find that there is some kind of social inclusion and exclusion. What do we understand by social exclusion? When we talk about social exclusion, we can better understand human development. Usually there are few indicators of human development. In the class, I also said about, we discussed about human development indicators. Then there is a longevity of life. That is, the lifespan got improvised. You are living, the expected life was only 50 years, but we have added another 20 years to our expected life. 50 to 70 years, we are improved with the 20 years of lifespan. That is because of different many factors adding up to bring this 20 years lifespan adding to the expected lifespan. So this 20 years lifespan, because of good medication, maybe good employment opportunity, good life for the person, good better nutritional food for the person, health approach to the person, access to health, all these better opportunities, better facilities provided to the human definitely brings the longevity of the life. Not only this, but when you are able to provide them education. So education is a major vehicle for any kind of changes. Radical changes can be brought up only by the education. So education facility, access of education is also human development. Access of what is called the shelter is also human development. So whatever opportunities you are providing in the society for a man to live, to lead at least a better life, a good life, that is human development. So we are having good food, or the minimum food, the basic requirement. We have a good shelter, we have education, we have health facility, then that is human development. Usually, in general, very simple layman talk, I can say, all this indicates human development. So when you have all these things, definitely your life gets improved. Your lifespan is also improvised. So longevity of life is the major important indicator of the what is called human development. Now, coming to the point of social exclusion and inclusion. Usually, why we are taking this particular topic? Whatever issues we are talking today, the poverty situation maybe, unemployment situation maybe, untouchability maybe, or violence against women maybe, child labor, All these are because of, usually we try to relate it to social exclusion. What is social exclusion? Social exclusion, yesterday we have come across defining the social exclusion. It is something defined as, just one moment. Yeah, it is defined as what is called a holistic understanding of deprivation. Social exclusion is deprivation. People, a group of people who have no access to, who have no access to the opportunities, who have no access to the better life, who have no access to education, who have no acceptability in the society, then this group is socially excluded. So people who are not given any opportunities, people who are not being accepted by the society, people's behavior who's not been given hallmark or acceptance by the society, then people who are not into the education, all these people, usually we term them as also the vulnerable sections, the marginalized sections. Usually when you relate social exclusion to the Indian society, we can take the better understanding of social exclusion from the caste and the untouchability in the Indian society. From the traditional mode, we can understand, from the traditional Indian aspect, we can understand caste, and the caste group, few caste communities are totally socially excluded from the mainstream of the society. They are not accepted by the societal people. There is no mainstream entry of these groups into the society. For example, if you take the Dalit community is socially excluded group into the in the society. So they did not being provided, there is no acceptance of this community into the mainstream, and they are deprived of, they were denied of education, they were denied of a good life, they were denied of the employment, they were denied of what is called the better opportunities in the society, they were denied of the education. So you can just understand social exclusion from the Indian aspect as untouchability and the caste practice in the Indian society. Okay, and like when you just try to take about social exclusion from the world aspect, usually it's not only India we have the social excluded group here, but at the same time in the world communities also we face some kind of other, some or the other criteria based on the social exclusion, and few community people, few race people, few identified criterion people are socially excluded in their countries. Like when you talk about Amartya Sen's explanation of social exclusion, he says that social exclusion is not a modern context, but we are talking it from the historical roots. Like the concept of social exclusion goes back to far from Aristotle. We can trace social exclusion from Aristotle period also. So now this the contemporary term emerged as social result of social unrest, increasing unemployment and economical inequalities in France during 1960. So this is according to Amartya Sen. So unemployment situation among a group of members or for a group of individuals is also because of social exclusion. They were deprived of education, so they entered into unemployment. They deprived of the better facilities, opportunities, so they are into unemployment situation and also related poverty situation. So social exclusion is not resulting one particular situation of the life, but different many interrelated situations of the life in a person. Like social exclusion is understood as accumulation of confluent processes, successive ruptures arising from the heart of the economy, politics, and society. Social exclusion is discriminatory practice. Yes, you are discriminating between one group and the other group. So that's the reason why you're not accepting the other group here. So yesterday I quoted one of the examples that we have taken, we are not considering the LGBT community. So because their behavior is something indifferent from the existing normative behaviors. So we don't accept them. They are not, they are deprived of certain conditions in the society. They are deprived of certain opportunities. So we usually, we are not identifying them as a normal persons. So this is one example of social exclusion also. Likewise, we have different many people based on different criteria where we are socially excluding them. Like then again, we try to talk about, as I said, the Dalits and the untouchable community, the agricultural laborers we have, the women who is marginalized section is also socially excluded. So women usually in the traditional period, she could not take decisions, she could not claim properties of the family, and she could not what is called she could not take up any empowerment, that she could not come out, she could not go for education. All this is totally excluding her from the all the opportunities and the better life. Fine. Then at the end, we have the constitutional frameworks where almost by identifying all the issues in order to eradicate all these issues in the society, and to see that, to check that all the vulnerable sections or the marginalized sections are improvised and they better utilize all the existing opportunities in the society. Government has framed with all the constitutional framework, and we have different many acts providing security, economic security, social security, and the political security, or some kind of empowerment to the women community and some other communities in the society. They are able to, in order to make them uplift these vulnerable sections from their conditions to their marginalized sections to a better situation. So this upliftment was possible because of the constitutional framework prepared and framed by the government of India and the constitution of the Indian society. As I said, it is the constitutional framework, and constitution provides the security to almost all these vulnerable sections. So by utilizing all the constitutional framework and the acts and the measures prepared by the constitution, now we can say that yes, of course, all the vulnerable sections to some extent are able to utilize and better, they are able to come out of the worsened situation to a better situation. So this is with regard to social issues, policies, and development concerns in the Indian society. So I think, hope you all followed what I said. So this is the last class. According to the examination pattern, I can tell you, like from examination point of view, I think for exams, you can prepare a few questions. I just try to give the questions here. From examination point of view, as according to my understanding and expected expected questions are: what is policies? What are the social issues? Explain few social issues. So when there comes such kind of question, you can give the definitions of the social issue, 1 or 2 definitions, not more than that. And then you can at least 3 issues you can write. You can take poverty, unemployment, or violence against women, or you can take poverty, the caste conflict, or the untouchability, or you can take unemployment situation, child labor, or some and the violence against women. Any 3 which you feel is very interesting, or you can write on a paper, you can present well. The 3 issues you can write for essay. Then the next topic we can expect from the examination point is social development and human development. So it's a very important topic in the paper, where definitely there will be a question on social development, and also there will be a question on human development. So when there is a question on social development, you just try to give the definition of social development and try to talk about what are the development concerns in the societal aspect from social aspect. Okay, so like when you talk about social development, we can talk about social justice, justifiable distribution of the resources, justice to all the vulnerable sections. So on equality, equity, equal distribution of all the resources, equal distribution of the employment opportunity, all the opportunity in the society. So that way we try to connect it to social development. Then when you talk about human development, as just now I said, now human development is something development related to human and the society, and human development indicates certain indicators we try to put. So you try to give employment, you try to give health, you try to give shelter and education as human development. So how with these, utilizing all these the criterion of development opportunities, how man can better himself here. So when he's been denied, when the man is denied with all these opportunities or all these indicators, what happens to man? So he enters into depression, he enters into poverty situation and worsening situation of the man and his family. So that's the reason why societies are more concerned with the human development factors here. And the other question we can expect is certain few perspectives. So I can tell you, like you can go through Karl Marx perspective, understanding society, social development, and then we have feminist ideologies, feminist understanding of social development here. So that way, any 2 questions, any 2 perspectives you can go through, so that we can, I think you can successfully present your answers. Then again, we have the other topics like constitutional framework. So that actually no needs for explanation. You just prepare, you can go through, you remember what are the acts and the measures undertaken, the developmental program, the measures undertaken by the government to uplift all these vulnerable sections. Fine. So all these measures in the programs, whatever are there, you can just prepare. That is a compulsory question again. Then again, it will be definitely a long question. I don't know the exam question pattern, but still I'm just giving you only few important questions here. Whatever is been according to my knowledge. Then again, the last one I can tell you, social exclusion. Exclusion is also one of the major important question from examination point of view. So hope everyone followed the paper and the syllabus. I went very briefly with all the topics. I didn't enter into the depth knowledge of the paper. So I feel that hope you all followed whatever I explained in the class. So this is the last class. I try to wind up the class now. So all the best. Everyone prepare well for the exam. Any doubts you can clarify. You can take my number. You can just clarify your doubts through phone. Okay. Thank you all, guys. Thank you all, and all the best for your examinations. Prepare well for the exams. Thank you all. No classes. This is the last class. Any doubts? I don't know. Then I just should check with the timetable. I don't know. According to my knowledge, I think whatever timetable has been given, today is the last class. I'll just check. Thank you. Thank you. Prepare well. All the best. Thank you all. Anything you can contact me on phone also. You can have any clarification on phone also. So I'm available on phone. You can just take my number and you can clarify any doubt through phone also. Thank you all.